My name is Annette Porter, and I am a real estate broker, developer slash facilitator for NAREB Developers Academy. I got started in real estate pretty much working with my family. I come from a family of contractors, and my father was a contractor building plenty of inventory in Lafayette. I'm from Lafayette, Louisiana. And I did have a job, and I heard it came across my ears that he wished he could complete the component with his daughter, because both of my brothers were in the construction industry, complete the puzzle with me in the real estate. So when that came across my ears, I decided to go and get my real estate license to work within the family structure. So that's how my real estate career actually got started. So for about 20 plus years, I work alongside my brother and my father, selling their new construction, primarily residential spec homes in the real estate market, which gave me an opportunity to meet a lot of people and do awesome work within my community. So that's what actually brought me to real estate, was to work alongside my family. Okay, that was the very first class I actually took, and I was so excited. I was like, my name is Annette, and I'm a real estate agent. And he paused, and he looked at me, and this was on Zoom, and I could feel the energy. He said, you do know that is the bottom of the barrel of real estate. And I was like, what? And that was the first time anybody that ever told me that there was another whole world to real estate. And I have to be honest, since I started my MBA program up until now, I definitely could identify what he meant, because real estate is a very broad spectrum of the economy in the United States. Now, what role you play in there is highly determined based on the experience that you have and the opportunities that's given to you. So when that word bottom of the barrel actually came across my ears, I definitely understand today, the person that I am, the importance of diversifying and understand what real estate really consists of. Development is about shifted environments. So when you think about development, you think about what kind of change can I make? So I often tell individuals, if you want to know about development, just ride throughout your communities. In land, everything has a place on land. If you look at it, we got hospitals, we have houses, we have community art centers, all that encompass of utilizing the land. So in the development process is you as an individual, what is your vision that you'd like to see in that particular community? So, and you incorporate it in a process. And at the same time, you use it for change, community change. So a lot of times people don't understand the difference between real estate development and real estate investment. Real estate development is a mindset concept of you want to bring change to a particular community. So that's the difference, which you could make significant money off of both of them. Okay, the Development Academy was actually created by Courtney Rose. And her vision was to bring the Developers Academy into NAREB, the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, which when I found that out, I was super excited. So the vision came from her. So what we do is we solicit applications from within the organization, okay? So realtists have the opportunity to study real estate development in a small scale environment. So this is specifically for National Association of Real Estate Brokers members, which is actually very rare that we actually get that opportunity to have such a academy with magnitude impact on communities, because it's actually in line with NAREB's vision. I think when we first start is fear, okay? Fear of the unknown. Because you're going into a whole different spectrum. A lot of times we have participants from all sorts of background. We have people that's in real estate, community leaders, and some of them have absolutely no experience. So it could be intimidating going through this process. So a lot of times they're going to start off with fear, and then as we go on through the different sessions, I start to see them get more and more comfortable. I see the questions coming. I see the curiosity. I see the relationships being formed. So I think once they get over that fear of the unknown of what real estate development is, because it can be intimidating. But the way the Developers Academy is actually written and coordinated is more of a hands-on approach to where it comes in from a realistic standpoint. So we give it to them from a realistic standpoint. Building wealth through real estate means, for me, taking that approach and keep on building on it. You know, a lot of times when we think of real estate development, we think of multifamily and these big subdivisions, but really, you could start from a small scale and build on it. So, and not only that, be able to transition into different roles in the real estate. So when I first did my real estate development project with my father, that was a 44 lot residential subdivision. So that was my very first project. And that was like in 2008. So moving forward to 2013, I started transitioning into more community-oriented real estate because of my kids. So my daughter is an artist, and she works with young kids between the ages of 3 and 21 through the arts. So that's when development started to change more community-oriented with demand. So underserved communities a lot of times have unmet needs. So working alongside of her gave me an opportunity to come directly into community and work on a development project through the arts.
Hello, my name is Leah Porter, Leah T. Porter, and I am from Lafayette, Louisiana, of course, like my mother. And I am a choreographer, a director, and a producer.
This space came about when Leah was looking to transition into larger space. So she opened up in 2013, and by 2020, it was time to expand. So again, I like going inside the community. So when she said that she was ready to expand, I was like, okay, let's look at the urban core. Okay, let's look at where demand for the arts is not being met. So at first she was a little bit skeptical, and because she wanted to go more into the growing area that was kind of like downtown, okay, that I felt was more moving towards gentrification. So I was like, Leah, let's go take a look at, and having access to the MLS, I was like, let's go take a look at this beauty salon former beauty salon on Marsh Street. I said, I think it has a lot of potential. I said, it got space. And I said, what don't we have in the community? We don't have an art gallery that specifically caters towards African-American artists. In fact, when we talked about this, we talked about it through opportunity. So we wanted to give it a space to where other artists could utilize a space at a reasonable rate, but not only that, where they could feel comfortable coming into their community and doing their work. And also she was growing with working with the kids from from the dancing aspect, the technical space. So we needed more space. So I recommend that we come on Mall Street and look at this building that I found was 2,500 square foot that I thought was perfect because it's surrounded by schools. So accessibility. And when we first walked in here and whatnot, it was like, oh my goodness, what are we getting ourselves into? Okay. They had it was still had the components of the beauty salon. It had the bowls and everything. And I was like, we could do the art gallery here. We could do dance floors. Dance space here. And we could add a podcast room so they could come in and shoot podcasts. And we was like, and look, we could do a conference room so people in the community don't have to travel as far. They could utilize a conference room, and then we could have a music room for Mr. Herbert Green. We have a percussionist that teach drumming to the kids here. So I was like, we could do all that in that space. And people thought I was crazy. They was like, you cannot fit all that in there. Still today, when people walk in here, they don't realize we have as many entities in here as we do. Because if you look at it from the exterior, it doesn't look as big. But when they walk in here, they're amazed by how the space was utilized. So we also use the concept of real estate development to utilize space.
When individuals walked in here, I wanted you to feel welcome and warm, but I wanted you to feel like you were in another city. I wanted you to feel like you were in New York or in LA or in Houston or in London. I didn't want you to feel like you were in Lafayette, Louisiana on Mall Street on the north side of the community of the town. And so everybody really came together to make sure that that vision came to life. Both of my uncles and my father, who are all general contractors and work in the construction space, had a hand in the cosmetic work. This building was special from the cosmetic standpoint. I mean, even I want to say I'll share this story. Like 2 days or a day before we were supposed to close, there was a major hurricane came and half the roof flew off. And so for probably about 2 or 3 months, we paused the transaction, and the roof was exposed. And so every time it rained, it was raining in here. So once we completely finished closing the transaction, we had to come in here. We had to do a lot of work. And it's because we really believed in the vision of this space. And so it's all of those expertise that really came together to bring this space to life. I think this space represents access to arts and to culture in a community that normally would not have this opportunity. My mom mentioned that at one point I wanted to move closer to downtown because I think just subconsciously that's how we're trained. Like all the art spaces, the museums, anything cultural is always in the center of a downtown area or a city. Very rarely are they at the center of the heart of disenfranchised communities. And so I felt like it was time to kind of change that narrative. And I have to say my mom is the person who really helped me to see that and really helped me to believe in the power and the energetic flow of this particular building. And so this is access. It's access for our community, for our kids to be able to take dance classes, to have music classes, to be able to view art on the wall when they walk in, to have beautiful exhibits, to do sound bowl meditation and yoga, to be exposed to, historians and oral history being passed down from the older generation to the younger generation, poetry nights. These are all things that are happening all the time, monthly here in this space. And it's at the heart of this African American community. And so this is for me, it's about access to what the arts can really do for anybody.
Again, from a real estate academic standpoint, we look for demand. So what need is not being met in a community? And I have to be honest, for African American communities, it's easy to find things that's not being met. So as developers and whatnot, we look for opportunities. We put together the resources to bring products to the market that's not met in certain communities.